Welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport.
Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport, and today join me for a history lesson as we take a look back at one of my favourite car brands ever to take to the theatre of speed that is motorsport. Lancia have a long and interesting history, both on track and off, but they haven't been around in a long time, and it's worth a look back at the story of one of Italy's greatest exports and some of the most beautiful cars ever to be made. If you are a fan of motorsport, leave a comment with your thoughts and memories of Lancia. Would you want them to return? Whilst you're here, remember to subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter. What else have you got to do? With that, sit back, relax, and let's begin our walk down memory lane. Despite being founded in 1906, Lancia's earliest racing success I can find is the 1936 Targa Floria, driven by Constantino Magistri in a Lancia Augusta. They also won the 1951 Marmiglia when Thornley Kelham impressively drove his absolutely gorgeous Lancia Aurelia B20 GT to an impressive second overall, whilst Luigi Gino Valenzano and Umberto Castiglione would drive the same car to 6th at the 1952 Le Mans. The big Aurelia would be replaced by the Lancia D20, but none of the three cars entered would finish at the 1953 Le Mans race. Umberto Maglioli won the Targa Floria that same year though, and the even newer D24 won the 1953 Carrera Panamericana, the 1954 Marmiglia and the 1954 Targa Floria. With all that success behind them, it made sense to jump into the world of Formula 1 and take up Grand Prix racing. And securing the services of reigning double champion Alberto Ascari was a bit of a coup, and joined by other experienced racers Luigi Villarezzi, Luis Chiron and Eugenio Castellotti, everything seemed good, especially as Alberto Ascari took the D50 and grabbed pole in their first ever race in the 1954 Spanish Grand Prix, followed by the fastest lap in the race, but the car retired with a clutch issue. But with that much speed on show, surely they'd get some success in 1955. Well, the first race of the year was at the Argentine Grand Prix. Ascari was again quick, qualifying second, but would again retire, and then in Monaco from again second on the grid, would end up driving through a barrier and ending up in the harbour. But Eugenio Castellotti would finish the race second, with teammates Luigi Villarezzi and Luis Chiron 6th and 7th. Lancia finally had their first finishes in Formula 1. But sadly that would be the end. Alberto Ascari would be killed testing a Ferrari just 4 days after being fished out the harbour, and the Lancia company was in serious financial trouble and had to sell their Formula 1 operation to Ferrari. Ferrari would continue to enter the Lancia D50 as the Ferrari Lancia, and with it Juan Manuel Fangio would win the 1956 Formula 1 World Championship, proving what the car was capable of. Sadly, Lancia would never return to the pinnacle of motorsport. Alberto Ascari did win 2 non-championship races, and that was their sole success in Grand Prix racing. Moving on to sports car racing, and probably the form of racing Lancia are associated least, except maybe powerboat racing I guess. Lancia started to enter the Stratos into Group 4 endurance races in the mid-70s, a strange choice as Lancia have never been associated with reliability. But the Lancia Stratos would win the 1974 Targa Floria, Lancia's 5th success in the famous race. The Stratos would be replaced by the Beta Monte Carlo for 1979 and would win the under 2 litre category of the World Sports Car Championship, and again in 1980, with rally driver Walter Reuel winning at Brands Hatch. They made it 3 in a row in 1981, along with an impressive 8th place at Le Mans. But with 3 years of success behind them in the under 2 litre category, Lancia decided to step up with Martini Racing into the Group 6 rules, with the Lancia LC1 Spider. It took wins at Silverstone, the Nürburgring and Mugello, but Riccardo Patrese missed out on the championship by just 8 points, behind experienced champion Jackie Ickx in the Porsche. Both Lancias would retire in the Le Mans race, and Lancia came back in 1983 with the LC2 with a more powerful Ferrari engine behind it. But Porsche dominated, winning every round. The Lancia LC2 won its first race at Kyalami in 1984, driven by Riccardo Patrese and Alessandro Nannini, followed by another in 1985 at Spa and a best 6th place at Le Mans. And in 1986, what would prove to be their final year as a manufacturer entry, they'd only enter a couple of races, but privateer teams did keep Lancias involved in sports car racing until the early 90s, with diminishing returns as the car aged as gracefully as 3-month-old milk, with a final appearance at Le Mans in 1991, with the Veneto Equip team, driven by Luigi Giorgio and Almo Capelli, only completing 111 laps before retiring. It was a sad end to a great race car, but Lancia had more important things to tend to elsewhere. Something a bit dirtier. Back in my day, my entire view on rallying was based on Frontrunner Home Video's Rally Action series, and it was the battles of Lancia and Toyota that got me interested in the World Rally Championship. The Lancia Fulvia took the final International Championship for manufacturers in 1972, before taking the 1974, 75 and 76 crown with the Lancia Stratos. And whilst Fiat would beat them in the manufacturers in 1977, Sandro Minari did take the first ever driver's crown in the WRC. The Stratos itself was still winning rallies in 1981 before being replaced by the Lancia 037, one of the most jaw-droppingly awesome looking cars in rally history. Marco Elaine and Walter Verl led the charge for Lancia in 1983, but they were up against it with the 4-wheel drive Audi set to dominate rallying that year. But Lancia had an exciting design, they were surprisingly reliable, and they would cheat. After lying about the roll cage on the V037, which actually made it a death trap, they also changed tyres mid-stage, delayed at the start on dusty rallies to let the dust of the cars in front settle, having employees saw icy roads ahead of Lancia cars coming through, and amongst lying about how many cars actually existed to meet homologation rules, it's probably not a surprise that Lancia won. Walter Verl didn't want to win the Drivers' Championship, so only drove selected events, but in the end Lancia would win their 5th Manufacturers' Championship. They clinched the title with a round left, so didn't bother turning up to the last one, with the team apparently being over budget. Lancia would win just one round in 1984, Marco Elaine winning in Corsica, and Lancia would finish second to Audi. And in 1985, Italian driver Attilio Bottega would be killed in Corsica. The 037 would be replaced by the Group B Delta S4 at the final round in Wales, and it would get a 1-2 on its debut, with Henry Toivonen beating Marco Elaine. The car would take 4 wins in its final year, but Henry Toivonen would be killed in the Tour de Corsica, and it was announced Group B cars would be banned at the end of the year. So Lancia needed a new car, and it came in the shape of the Lancia Delta Integrale, my favourite car of all time, the most stunning and successful rally car of all time. The Delta Integrale is sex on wheels. It is drama and emotion and passion with an engine. It is a titan of motorsport, and I love it to pieces. It would take a massive 46 WRC wins between 1987 and 1992. It dominated the Drivers' Championships and Manufacturers' Championships between that time. It had some of the greatest drivers ever: Juha Kankkunen, Marco Elaine, Miki Biasion, Bruno Sabi, Didier Auriol, amongst others. It started in 1987 when Kankkunen would take the title from fellow Lancia drivers Biasion and Elaine, and Lancia dominated the manufacturers. 1988 went much the same way, with Biasion taking the title this time, and again a 1-2-3 in the Drivers' Championships, repeating that success in 1989, but a new challenger had appeared from the land of the rising sun. Toyota entered the Celica and had started to challenge the mighty Lancia. Carlos Sainz would take the driver's title for the Toyota team in 1990, but Lancia hung on to the manufacturer's title, and Kankkunen would make a driver's and manufacturer's title double for Lancia in 1991. 1992 would be the final year for Lancia, with Andrea Aghini taking their final WRC win. Sainz would take a second driver's title for Toyota, but Lancia won the manufacturers for a 6th year in a row. Privateer entries would keep entering Lancias in 1993, with Carlos Sainz even driving for them, but that was the end for Lancia in motorsport. Actually, it was the end of Lancia as an entity. Lancia for the last decade have just been rebadged Chryslers sold in Italy. Did anyone ask for a Lancia Voyager? Did any idiot buy one? The problem is Lancia being owned by the Fiat Chrysler Group, who don't seem to have any plans for the historic Lancia name, other than making Lancia Epsilons for mentally deranged Italians. This is Lancia. Do something with this badge. They are the most successful rally team in history. Fiat have made modern interpretations of the Fiat 500 and Fiat 124. Do the same with Lancia. There was a concept for a new Fulvia in 2003. Make it, release it, race it. Make a new Delta Integrale. Do something. The world is a better place with Lancia in it. They are some of the prettiest, most desirable cars ever made. The Lancia name needs to make a comeback. Do it, Fiat. With that, thank you for watching. This is a much different style of video, so if you enjoyed, please subscribe, leave a comment and a like. Follow me on Twitter. I'm eagerly waiting for the return of motorsport, whenever that may be, and when it does, I will try using Twitter more, so please follow. With that said, I hope you all stay well and have a good one.